This is the ABC Evening News with Harry Reisner and Barbara Walters.
Good evening. Barbara is on vacation this week. When the airlines put the Boeing 747 into service 7 years ago, insurance experts trying to set a reasonable rate predicted 2 disastrous crashes of the huge planes in the first 18 months of service. The crashes didn't happen. The 747 safety record has been outstanding. Palestinians burned one at Cairo airport, and 76 died in 2 crashes. But it turned out to be one of the safest planes in history. Yesterday, the averages caught up with the 747. 2 of them, both on charter flights, both on the ground, collided at Tenerife airport in the Canary Islands. It was the worst disaster in aviation history. There are at least 578 dead, all of the 248 aboard the Dutch KLM plane taking off, and at least 330 of the 396 aboard a Pan American plane. Both planes were full of vacationers. Pan Am had brought most of its people from Los Angeles to the Spanish-owned Canary Islands. They were going to transfer to a ship for a Mediterranean cruise. Both planes were supposed to land at Las Palmas on another island. A bomb had gone off there in a store, and flights were diverted to Tenerife. Then, in a confusion to be sorted out, they collided on Tenerife's runway, the KLM plane taking off, the Pan Am plane taxiing. Any air traveler has wondered during some white-knuckled moments what it would be like. Spanish television cameras got some idea of what it looked like last night after the collision, and Mrs. Floy Heck of Laguna Hills, California, tells what it felt like.
So when all the fire, I don't know why my hair didn't catch on fire, I jumped, I sat on the part of the wing, almost falling backwards. But anyway, I caught myself, and so I had to jump, landing on my feet, which I did. I'm afraid I landed on somebody's back. I hope and pray that they were saved.
Today, the fog was better, the fires were mostly out, the investigations began. Peter Jennings has a report.
The burned-out hulks of the 2 jumbos make very clear the extent of the human devastation. Many of the dead, their personal belongings still lie indiscriminately along the runway, are so badly burned as to defy identification. The impact with the KLM plane traveling at more than 150 miles an hour was horrendous. It was just after 6 p.m. The fog had rolled thickly in over the airfield. There is no ground radar here, and it is absolutely sure that no one, neither the planes nor the airport tower, could see one another. There is no question of who hit whom. KLM hit Pan Am. That human error was involved is apparent, but whose? Critical evidence will come from the wreckage. The onboard recorders, monitoring all cockpit conversations, will provide vital clues. But until they are released, this collision remains a gruesome and unsolved tragedy.
Peter, what's it like there today? Is everything back to normal? What kind of feeling do you get?
Well, Harry, there's a mixture of confusion here, tremendous sadness, and strange enough, rather a calm among some people. At the hotel where there are some other American survivors downtown, I must confess I found them surprisingly calm. And I asked one survivor if he was always calm, or if in fact he thought he might still be in shock. I think most of them feel that they're still in shock, that the realization of this terrible tragedy hasn't hit them. People are confused also on the question of what actually happened. And
it's possible they'll never know, I suppose.
I hate to be evasive. I think probably on the surface of it, it is not impossible that they will never know. The black boxes, the recorders which record all the cockpit conversations, do appear, in the words of some experts here, to be the key when they are revealed to giving an indication of exactly who was where at what time.
One of those black boxes has been recovered and will be carried to Washington tomorrow. The box is from the Pan Am plane. It contains a tape recording of conversations between the cockpit and the control tower just before the crash. The National Transportation Safety Board will analyze the conversations in an effort to find out what happened and why. ABC Science editor Jules Bergman has begun to piece together what may have happened.
It was foggy. That was the first component of disaster. The 2 747s were at this side of the field when the tower told them to taxi for takeoff. KLM led the way, got there, and turned around for its takeoff. Ground control, I am told, reportedly asked Pan Am, have you cleared the runway, as it was supposed to have until the KLM jet took off? Pan Am replied no. The tower told KLM to hold his takeoff. Then the mystery deepens. The KLM jet began its takeoff roll. The Pan Am captain saw the KLM landing lights bearing down on him out of the fog and tried to turn left to the nearby taxiway, but it was too late. The KLM 747, up to about 150 miles an hour, struck the Pan Am jet broadside behind the right wing at the 3,000-foot mark on the runway. The force was so enormous, the broken Pan Am plane was dragged about 1,500 feet down the runway. Why did KLM start its takeoff? With the Dutch crew dead, it hinges on finding their voice recorder. It could be that the Dutch crew missed the warning to hold, that they were switching radio frequencies as the warning was issued. 2 747s, up to now the world's safest airplane. Nothing wrong with them mechanically. And then disaster on the ground. Harry?
Rex Ellis is in Tenerife, and he talked there with 2 survivors. One of them was John Combs of Hawaii, whose wife, Louise, also had been listed as a survivor.
We were in the first row of seats behind first class, with no seats in front of us. Fortunately, there was a bulkhead there, and we were able to stand up. And everything spilled out. Torn metal and trays and just everything. You have no idea what a pile of stuff it was. But it made a 20-foot jump, literally. And I just said to my wife, I'm simply going to push you. She was reluctant to go at that jump. And I said, we'll just go. And because then people were pushing the backs of us. And she went down and apparently got lost in the rubble.
My son jumped, and as he jumped, there was another explosion. And I ended up in a hole in the plane, and then I felt fire on top of me, just completely surrounding me, and I just knew I was gone. And my lungs got full of smoke, and I was just about ready, just ready to give up. I just thought, well, this is death, and then it seemed like it cleared. So I came to enough. I started flying up the side, and my son came back after me, and he saw my head, and he reached up and he grabbed my arms and pulled me out, and then he and my daughter-in-law dragged me to safety.
Insurance experts estimated today that insurance and damage payments to the airline for the planes and to estates for the dead stemming from the collision will amount to more than $250 million. Under an agreement of the International Air Transport Association, the airlines are liable for up to $75,000 for each person killed. In practice, beneficiaries sometimes collect more. It's likely that the process deciding who is responsible for final payment may go on for years.